26th of May, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
The link is the same link we had before that you sent out.
Oh, you received a link?
Yeah, but I had it before. It's the same link as before. What hadn't changed?
Right. Okay. Right.
Unless somebody changed computers and that's why I wanted to do it. I don't remember.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Just sometimes people say they weren't able to use the link. I don't know.
Yeah, I always use the same link. I'm not sure why other people have problems.
Okay.
All right. Hey,
Okay. So we move from
oh, okay.
Elios and Maseches Brachos to
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Maseches Bava Kama.
Roy just called me. He has a migraine, so he gives his apologies. He won't be able to attend.
Hey, Refuah Shalema.
Hope he
We have to
feels
find
better.
we have to find a remedy for that.
Uh-huh.
So what page are we on, since I wasn't here yesterday?
94A4.
All right, we're getting to the end. Oh, but we're still in this Rashi over here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
Oh boy. Okay.
Maybe Phil can take a crack at it this time.
Okay. This is Rashi Dibra Mastil Hayev Beperetz.
The long one, the parrot. Okay, I'm going to start it from the top.
Yeah.
Okay, we are up to Chayev Parent. Okay, he's Chayev Parent. The Afogav, the Hefker, Hata Mikulam, that really, even though Hefker should be Hata from everything, give me a second, because the Pasuk write, Artzecha, Sodecha, the Karmecha. It says, your land, your field, and your vineyard. Mehani, from this, Ta'azov Yitera. But there's extra time that it writes Ta'azov, and you should leave. Lema'ute, for to make it a lessening. Iha Gavna, because in any case, the Loha Hefka, if it wasn't Hefka, we thought to be Pata. The Afagav, even though Shepata Mina Maisa, that it should be, that it is Pata for Maisa, Ubachal, and in all, Hani Kativ, that Tazov Yetera, it writes an extra Tazov, Kedoshi, in Kedoshi, Kativ, because there it's written Karmecha, your vineyard, lo titalo uprat chula. You shouldn't. Tita olel is one of them is like picking up the grapes, and parat. There are two different things. One is the forgotten one, and one is the ones that fall. L'chula. Uber Mishnah Torah is that's the Devarim.
Yeah.
Ketiv ki titzpor karmecha. When you harvest your field, your vineyard, lo titolel, you shouldn't pick up the grapes. V'chein lo tifar acharecha. And then it says, you shouldn't glorify it after. The hainu peret, and that would be, that talks about the peret factor. Because it says you shouldn't make a glory. I guess if you do that, you would be doing glory. The hainu peret, that's peret. Tifar is to glorify ishkubar, whatever that is. And peyanami also, mahachi from here, mashma, we learn it. The Tana, the Rebbe Yishmael, that we learned in by Rebbe Yishmael, in the Chulin, shelo titol tifar to. You shouldn't take your glory from it, you learn it from it. That's shicha. Ketiv, it's written in Mishnah Torah, it's written in Devarim. Lo tashuv lakachto. You shouldn't return to take it. The Elon Ketiv, in a tree, it's written lo tifar achracha. You shouldn't glorify after it. For Omar Mar, and the master says, the Perek Yud, the Chulin, in the 10th Perek of Chulin, acharecha, after you, zo shicha. That means that word talking about shicha, forgotten things. Lo by, he be there, you don't need to return. In the Ketav, and it's written the Elon, the tree, leger liyotom, for a convert and an orphan. Lo tifer achra, you should not be glorified after it. The Anar Yadam, we know the Iniyim to poor people who, that it talks about the poor people who that it's to them that we find this, but Amiron with the words Aval b'maseh lo ketiv tazov iter. There's no extra tazov in Meiser. So we have a reason. He comes up with extra psukim for every one of them except for the Meiser. And the extra psukim is going to say that it's going to apply to your vineyard and not just to your field.
Mhm. Okay, so okay, so this, right? So at the end of the day, that's the end of this section over here. I'm going to go on to something else now. So what comes out from what was said over here in this Bryce, I already forgot. It's been
We were trying to understand why it is that when he makes it hefker, he is not responsible for all of these things, but he's still responsible he is responsible for all these things except Meiser. If he makes it hefker, then you would think he's not responsible for anything. Or if you're going to say, well, the hefker didn't work because it's just a legal fiction, then he should be responsible for everything.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just within the Bryce itself. What's the Rashi's dealing with? What's the difference between the din of the Meiser and the din of all the other parrot and the olos and the shich and the peah? What's the difference? Why in this case, when he's mafker the field, he's going to still be chayav in those, but he's not gonna be chayav anymore in Meiser. So Rashi told us because of the Taz of Yisera that exists on all these others, but there's no Taz of Yisera by Meiser. Okay, so that answers the Bryce. But what I was asking was, what was the step before that? Why? What is this Bryce needed to tell us? Why did the Gemora introduce this Bryce? And that's because the Gemora said that in the step before, Imtim Saloimar, time of the Rebbe Yishmael, Mishum de Kasava Shinu Enu Koina. If we're going to say that Rebbe Yishmael in fact holds that Shinoi is not Koina, so then why do we need these Tazov Yiseiros? Obviously, in the case where he converts it into, his thing, his wheat into the dough, even though it's changed, but it's not a kinyan. So obviously, he's going to have to give payah. We don't need a Tazov Yisera because we have no reason to say that he shouldn't have to give it, simply because he's transformed the wheat. So that's what the Gemara said. Well, that's why we brought this Bryce over here. We have a case now where we do need to make use of the Tazov Yisera to say that we're going to remain chayav even in the case where he's mafker the whole field. He's mafker the field. He's not the owner of the field anymore. Nevertheless, in this case, he's going to whatever he harvests from that field as a private individual, he'll still have to give and payah because of the Tazov Yisera is telling him that even in that case, you'll have to give it. Okay.
And therefore, we don't learn that the reason he takes payah from the dough is because of the Tazov Yisera.
Right. We don't need. If we would say that Rabbi Yishmael holds, we're not coming down conclusively that he does hold that. We're saying Imtim Salomer. If you would say that that's what he does hold, he holds that the Shini is Eno Koina. So then, why do you need the Tazov Yisera? That was the Gemara's question.
Okay.
So,
but I didn't get these. When Phil read several times, he translated the word glorify, glory.
It says Tiferet. That's Tiferet.
What's that talking about?
There's a pasuk about glorifying, and because of the glorifying pasuk is where he's making the extra statement from. And the glorifying statement applied because you needed an extra statement, the Tazov Yetera. But you have to understand the Tazov Yetera are using it for all three. He was trying to come up with reasons for each one. Why do you have a reason for the parrot? Why do you have a reason for the ololo? And then why do you have a reason for the third thing? What was it? The third thing called? The third thing is called something else in a term. It's called. It's hard to find what it was called. The third thing. It was. You have shechim payah. There's four things. It has
four things. Yeah.
Eret, ololo, shechva, v'payah. It's brought about reasons for all four, and not for Ma'isa. Excuse me.
Where is this pasuk? Well, maybe we'll look up this pasuk. Lo tifa'er acharecha. That's in Mishnah Torah, but the Rashi doesn't give a citation. Does the Art Scroll give a citation for that pasuk?
It's saying a lot in 30. Well, let me see if it goes later on. It talks about splendor is the word that they use. I use the word glorified. I'm looking at their translation. I mean, it starts on They're claiming 24:19 to 21 of the various places of something. Here, the splendor is mentioned in verse 20, it says.
20.
It's 24:19, 20, 21.
Okay. כי שגשו קצירך בסודך ושכחת אומר בסודו לא תשיב לקחתו לגר ליוסם למונו יהיה למען יברך השם אלוקיך בכל מעשה ידיך. Okay. Oh, here's this in Pasuk Chaf. כי תחבוט זיסך לא תפאר אחריך. When you are doing chavota on your olives, sounds like you're pounding the olives. Lo tefa'er acharecha. What's it mean? Lo tefa'er acharecha. Rashi says lo tefa'er lo sito tifartoi bimenu. Heya le'ilon. So it's a very it's striking, unusual usage of this word tifa'er. What's the pair over here? Marish lo titol kol perioi mimenu ad shelo yisha'er pe'er. Okay, the Sifsei Chachamim has an original interpretation of this word. I mean, Rashi just tells us, lo tefa'er acharecha, don't be mefa'er acharecha, dahainu peret. That is a reference to parrots, Rashi says. Rashi in our Gemora, even though the Rashi in the Chumash says it's referring to peah. Mikan shemenichin peah le'ilon. From here, the Gemora learns to leave peah le'ilan, for the tree. That's a Gemora in Chulin. But we're not going to look in that Gemora over here. But just what is this business with the pe'er over here?
And what does the word tifara mean?
Yeah, the
Glorifying the produce?
Yeah, so it's hard to understand. It needs an interpretation, and the Sifsei Chachamim says the following thing over here. It means lo titol kol perioi bimenu. Don't take all. Don't completely take all of the peros from this tree ad shelo yisha'er pe'er, to the extent that it doesn't have left. It's just left with a tree that has no fruit on it. It looks like it's that's removing the splendor of the tree.
Oh. It's the splendor of the tree. Mm-hmm.
So
you don't want that tree to look barren.
Yeah. So it's interesting. There's a double thing over here. But I don't understand exactly, because, in other words, with the way we're learning the pair of the tree, the way I just explained, it means don't take all the fruit off the tree because it's going to look bald. It's going to not look nice. So don't take out its splendor. But here, what we're talking about is, we're saying that this is a reference to, yes, taking for the anim. Whether whether we're going to learn out that we're going to take parrot, whether we're going to learn out to take peya. Okay. It's a rather unusual drasha. Maybe it would, I mean, it might be interesting actually to take a look at this Gemora in Chulin and see if the Gemora in Chulin has any more to say about this this pe'er business. It's unusual.
Well, I mean, shot. What do we think it's saying when it says lo tifa'er acharecha dahayinu peter? What does that sentence? What do we think that means?
Well, so Rashi in Chumash, if you take a look at Rashi in Chumash, you have the pasuk in Chumash.
No, what pasuk is it?
This is in Devarim.
Devarim. Okay, I got Devarim.
So this is Devarim Chaf Daled.
Okay, I'm in Chaf Daled.
Pasuk Chaf.
Pasuk Chaf. Okay. Ki sachbot zeischa lo tifa'er acharecha. Okay, so when you beat your olive tree, do not remove all the splendor behind you.
Yeah.
And we
What's
say
that
that means don't remove all of the olives from the tree, right?
So
Rashi writes, is lo tital, reading the Rashi, lo tital tifarto mimena, don't remove its glory. Mikan, from here, shemenichan, that we leave it, peya le'ilam, that we have to leave the peya on the tree. So that's what he's learning from that phrase. Because you would remove the glory. If you're removing the glory, you're not supposed to take the glory away, which means you have to leave it on the tree, which means you have to leave the peya.
So what does that mean? That the anim are going to come along and denude the tree of everything that's left?
Whatever.
That's okay.
just as one must leave the edge of the field for the poor, is what the note says on it.
Yeah, I said right. You see here, you have a mitzvah of peya even on a tree. That's very interesting.
Yeah, the footnote in the art scroll says Chulin 131a, the Torah has already commanded that a corner of the field be left for the poor. Our verse says that the same commandment applies to fruit trees. And then on Chulin 131b, the apparently superfluous behind you teaches us that the law of forgetting mentioned in verse 19, which is I guess a little earlier, which applies only to that which is behind the one who forgets, also has relevance to fruit trees.
Mm-hmm. So that's the pe'er of the tree that you don't take off the don't remove the splendor from the tree, but leave the peya on the tree, and then the anim are going to come along and take it.
Okay, so Rashi here on our Rashi in Bava Kama 94a, when he says lo tifar acharecha dahayinu peret tifaer, he's just recapitulating what we just learned. What's the relevance? What's the contextual relevance to this fact that you leave the petter on the tree?
I mean, what does that have to do with Tazov Yisera?
Yeah, right. What does that have to do with our topic, which is Hayinu the petter?
Yeah, that's the topic. The topic is that Rashi's telling us over here. He said, "B'chol hani ksiv Tazov Yisera." In all of these four different matanas that are going to be given to the anim, except for a truma and maasros, there's going to be a Tazov Yisera in the psukim, mandating that even in this case of the Bryson, when he's mafkir his field, and then he gets up early in the morning and starts picking, then he's going to still have to give these four gifts. He's going to have to leave. That's what he's going to have to do. So Rashi is showing us from these psukim where these are the psukim that contain the Tazov Yisera. So now you're asked. So now you realize what you're asking, Lou. You're asking us to actually find the Tazov Yisera in all these psukim. That sounds like it's going to take a lot of work.
Wait, why am I asking you that? I think I'm asking you something different. I'm asking you, what does this phrase tifara, tifar, what does that have to do with the Tazov Yisera? Oh, I see what you're saying. In order to answer that, you need to find them. Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's not so apparent. In other words, Rashi's long enough, right? Rashi was 25 lines. If you want him to show you exactly where it is to find the Tazov Yisera, then the Rashi will take another 50 lines, and then we don't have room for that.
Right.
So Rashi just told
my brain's not big enough.
He told you where to look, and then the job is left to us. We'd have to look up these other sources that Rashi quoted over here. Rashi quotes a source in Hulin. That looks like the main place that we'd be able to find what we're looking for, and that's what would be involved. So I don't mind doing that if that's what you want to do, but I'm just warning you that that's what's involved.
Yeah, I don't want to do it either.
Okay.
If you look at the long art scroll note, it gives you various places. The whole point is that there's an original place where it mentions, and then they had to have an extra place where it's written for other things. So it's claiming there that in Vayikra there's an extra place, an extra leave in Vayikra 23:22. That's regarding to Peah and Leket, and then there's another one that's in Vayikra 19:10. So and then we have these here. So there's different places that it's written, and he's trying to come up with where the extra things are written, so that we should, in all cases, say that it's necessary to separate it from them also.
It would seem that you have to have 8 different psukim, because you have four different presents over here. Parrot, Ololos, Shich, and Peas. That's 4. So that means you got to find for each one of them. I would assume you need to find a taz, and you're looking for a Tazov Yisera. What that means is you're going to have to find where the first Tazov is, so that you could say that this other Tazov is a Tazov Yisera. So you're really looking. It's what's involved here is looking up no less than 8 psukim, as far as I could see. Does Art Scroll give you 8 psukim?
It's saying that some are called more than one. I mean, the original one, it's saying is Vayikra. It talks about
I see.
some are in Devarim and then some in Vayikra. But then there's extra ones in Vayikra that may talk about it. Just like this pasuk this key word over here, in the one we just read, number 20, there's a phrase, this acharecha, that word in it also. The pe'er says one thing, and the word acharecha tells you another thing. In the pasuk, you have two extra things.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's okay, very good. Yeah.
Oh, there's something more in that footnote that Phil was just reading.
Yeah.
It says, the Torah could have simply stated, you shall not remove the splendor after you, and I would know that it belongs to the poor. Just like the shichcha of sheaves stated in 2 verses earlier. Thus, the superfluous end of the verse constitutes an extra command to leave the gift for the poor. That's why we care about the word splendor.
Okay.
It renders the extra statement superfluous, even though it's really the phrase after you that does that, not the word splendor. But for some reason, Rashi is grouping them together and saying they're a phrase. Splendor after you.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, l'mahadir u'michtav be'ilan l'ger liyosem ela lo tefa'er acharecha v'ani adana elanimhu k'da'ashkechan ba'amarim. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so there is a lot more in this Rashi, as we're starting to see and appreciate. But okay, that's the basic idea that's coming out from the Rashi. I think we got that. Yeah. So in other words, each one of these would be a treasure hunt to find exactly what exactly is the Tazov Yisera of each one. It's not so simple. Okay. Okay, good. So now we can go weiter, right?
Right.
Okay.
We're almost at the end of the page.
Almost at the end of the page, yes. Okay. So we go back to the Gemora, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Halacha Karebi Shimon ben Elazar. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up from the spread.
94A4, right-hand column, second paragraph.
And we call upon Alan to read for us. Please. Alan, would you like to read for us?
Okay. 94A5 or what?
94A4,
Okay.
right-hand column, second paragraph.
Gemora asks, Umi Omar Shmuel, did Shmuel indeed say so? For whom more?
Oh no,
No?
where's that?
94A4.
now?
We're up to Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel.
Couple of lines before. 3 lines before that.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, okay. Umi Omar, Shmuel Habi. Did Shmuel indeed say so? For Omar, Shmuel, what Shmuel said, Ain, Shemin Lo, the Bor, the Bor, Umo, the Gas Loch. We do not evaluate for either a thief or a robber, i.e., if the animal that he steals dies in his possession, we do not appraise the loss in the animal's value and allow him to return the carcass and pay the difference. Rather, the thief keeps the carcass and pays for the animal in full. The law, Lena is a key. We evaluate a carcass only in the case of damages. Mishael, now it is well according to Rava, to Omar Ki, Omar, Rabbi Shmuel ben Eliezer, Wasam, Behecham, who says in the Gemora above that when Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer says that the rabbi may return the deteriorated animal, the reference is to a reversible deterioration. So Tashua, that there is no contradiction between the two statements of Shmuel. He or more. Shimon ben Eliezer, the Shimon Noi Kivu Komo Omaid. Shmuel says, quoted by Rab Yehuda, that the halacha accords with Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer, who says that a change remains in place. But sure. To Horor, the reference is to duration that is reversible. Bechiko, Shmuel, son. Whereas Shmuel says there that Ain Shamin Lo, go below Gazlan, Elam, or contain. We do not evaluate for either a thief or a robber, but only in case of damages. Sure, the low Hodor, it references to deterioration that is not reversible. Elor, according to Abaye, who says in the Gemora, above that, Kiko Komar, Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer, when Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer says that the rabbi may return to the animal below Huran Kumar, who's saying this even about a deterioration is not reversible. My Ikor Maymar, what is there to say in resolution of this contradiction in Shmuel's statements?
Okay, well, we got ourselves into a whole new world over here that Rashi says is really the subject of the first parak in Bava Kama that we did not learn, but we'll try to learn it right now. So, first thing we start off with here is that the Gemora brought a statement in the name of Shmuel that the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Elazar, and we say, wow, what does that mean? what case was that? What did Reb Shimon ben Elazar say? So that's the first thing we have to find out. What did he say that Shmuel is saying that the halacha is like that? That's the first step. So we got to go back and see what it was that Reb Shimon ben Elazar said. So if we take a look in our previous section over here, we'll find that Reb Shimon ben Elazar, he was the one that talked about that case where the Goslin stole an animal and the animal became weak, kochash, and this is like 10 lines up from the top of the page on Sadi Dalid 94a. Shimon Elazar, Maihi, what's his statement all about? And we said, Klaus Elmar Shimon Elazar, Kol Shevach Sheshbiach Gazlin Yado El Yona. Oh, remember you had this whole thing. And the bottom line is that it came out that what we meant according to, we actually had a machlokes about this, what it was actually that he said over there. So he said, all he said was Yado al Yona. He's got the upper hand. If he wants, he could take the profit. Or if he wants, he could say to the person that he stole the animal from, here's the animal back. I'm giving it back to you as is. So on that, the Gemora said, what does that mean? What do you mean he could give it back as is? Why would he want to give it back as is? Wouldn't he want to take the profit? So we got two answers to that question, I believe. One answer was the Rav Shesha said we're talking about a case, two cases really. We're talking about one case, the guy stole it and it went up in value, and so then it says, the Goslin, he could keep the shevach. The other case was that when it went down, it was kochash. It became weak and infirm, and that in that case, even though he stole a healthy, strong animal, he could give back this weak, infirm animal. It's the same animal, and say, "Here's your animal." And so therefore, we concluded that according to Reb Shimon ben Elazar, he holds that shinui b'mekoma omed, that even though the animal underwent a shinui in the hands of the Goslin, nevertheless, the Goslin was not kona the animal, and therefore it still belongs to the owner, and therefore he could say, here it is. I'm giving it back to you, the animal that I stole. It belongs to you. And he doesn't have to reimburse him for the fact that it's now infirm and weak. Okay, so that's what he said. Now, the Gemora has a statement. Oh, we're out of time. So, and just this one last point, just to remember this for not for tomorrow, but for Yom Rishon, that Shmuel says, the halacha is like Reb Shimon ben Elazar, meaning that in that case, with the animal got weak and infirm, he could still give back the animal as is, and you see from there that he holds that shinui is not koina in that case. And on that, the Gemara is going to have a whole series of questions to ask that Alan read for us, and we're going to see that on Yom Rishon Bezrat Hashem. So, with that, we say a good Shabbos to Phil. Yashik Koyach.
Shabbos, Phil.
Good
And we'll see
Shabbos. Take care.
Good
All the
Shabbos,
best.
everybody. Thank you, Rabbi.
Take care.
Okay, we'll see you.
See you
Be'ez
tomorrow at
Hashem.
10:30, Mitzvah Hashem, Pele Yoetz.
It's Hashem. Paleo 8.